Hello, and welcome to another episode of Product and Cake. Today in the virtual recording studio, sitting with me is our published author, Paul Luna. Paul, I'm not letting go of that. I will mention it until it's a best-selling author.
Nice.
Because, how you doing today?
I appreciate your support, Goncha. Thank you very much.
Of course.
And I am so happy to sharing this virtual recording studio with you, obviously, as a very experienced product expert. But also we extended the space today and invited Gustavo to our studio. So welcome, Gustavo, on our podcast.
Thank you very much for the invitation. And feel free to call me Gus. That's also, it's okay.
Okay, we will do that one. And with Gus, today we kick off the 4th season of the Product and Cake podcast. And the 4th season is about discovering all shapes of product roles that are out there. And Gus, I mean, you did already so many things, and you are a founder, but also an product and agile coach. So we are so curious to hear about your experiences and to get to know a little bit about you and also about the role of a product and agile coach. So a thrilling thing. But before we start that one, let us jump into a check-in question, because checking in is super important. We are all humans and we want to start with a human connection. And maybe I can share that we are recording on a Friday afternoon. So everyone is ready for the weekend. So that's why I picked my check-in question. First for you, Gus, of course. What's bothering you right now?
Right now.
That's
a great checking question. I think I'm super tired because last night I woke up in the middle of the night. And so I had to run around and do so many things today. And so I am ready for the Friday.
I see. Yeah, thanks for sharing. What about you, Goncha?
A lot of things. It's Friday afternoon, so a lot of things are bothering me right now. But I would say the weather, the fact that it's so dark, so early in the day. I know it's getting better. I know we are past the winter solstice, but it's not yet to the extent that I'm happy at this time of the day. I'm just looking outside. It's so dark. It looks like it's 11 p.m. and my energy with that is also gone. But I'm really happy that we are talking to each other because that gives me a lot of energy. So that's good. But how about you, Paul?
Yeah, I feel that, but there's still a lot of darkness ahead of us until it becomes summer. Anyway, we are used to it. So what bothers me, I mean, is I am looking at you here in the virtual recording studio. That is great. But around you, my desk is a complete mess. And I really wanted to spend half an hour today to clean it up again. But I was in meetings from 9 to our recording right now. And that bothers me a little bit because all my well-planned focus time was wiped away today. And yeah, it happens from time to time. Also part of the role. Yeah, but it would be nice. I plan to start with a clean desk in the weekend.
Nice. Yeah, hopefully after this call.
Yeah, hopefully. And that is totally human, right? We are all bothered from something, and it is more or less our jobs to bring us together anyway and make great, build great products. And I think nobody can teach us better in that than you, Gus. So maybe you can describe your current role and what you are focused on at the moment.
Yeah. So currently, about a year and a half ago, I launched an online academy. Mainly on helping people to understand what agile is. And that was the main concept behind it. I worked with a lot of teams in the last years, and most of the people working in this way of working, I don't want to call it methodologies or anything like that, just mindset and way of working, had not the chance to get training. And so I wanted to get something going that it was accessible and flexible, because sometimes people don't have the time for it. Anyway, there are many challenges to that. So currently what I'm doing is I am working to grow the online academy and figuring out the needs so that we can deliver solutions. And if I put it in one sentence.
Yeah, awesome. And you have a really impressive track record. So you worked for N26, for example, but also Urban Sports Club. And you did already a lot of teaching also with the Franklin Institute of Applied Science. So, how did you find your way now into this founder role? Or maybe first, before that question, how did you find your way into that product and agile coach role? So how did you arrive into that?
So my background is actually a bit more scientific. So I studied environmental science and engineering, and I went that direction for a long time doing research. I came to Germany to learn to do a master's degree and do research, and I did that the first few years. And I got the opportunity to learn and do another master's in geoinformatics, photogrammetry, remote sensing, things like that. And it got me more into the programming side of things, and ended up working in a company that did remote sensing. And while I was there, I tried to make my life easier, and I developed an internal tool to manage the projects and deliver faster to the customers. And that landed me a job as a business analyst. And then when I was there for a couple of years, we got acquired by an American company, and they brought the whole agile thing with them. And so my new boss said, like, you fit really good in between tech and product. Like, you have this keen eye for understanding the technology. You don't have to be an expert, but you can talk to both sides. So that's how I got into the whole agile. And so they offered me training, and I developed through this. And so eventually I ended up leaving science and research and software by myself, like developing coding, programming, and more into the role of like, okay, enabling the teams to find out, to prioritize, to communicate better. And the last few years I've done in that role. So most of the time was as an agile coach, but I was always inclined to work with the product, close to the product, doing a lot of lean inceptions and sprint designs and things like that to help not to just be a feature factory, but actually to have robust products. So that's how I ended up, in a very short way, how I ended up in that field.
Nice, very interesting. I also took a quick look at your LinkedIn profile and saw a lot of different industries. So from Planet in the space sector to urban sports in health and fitness to N26, which is banking, and it's an amazing track record, and also it shows how well integrated all of the practices of product management and agile coaching is between all of these different industries, that even though they're so different from each other, so from space to fitness, you manage to excel at all of them. I also want to understand that within all of these different companies, what were the biggest challenges that you were facing, and either in your role or within your support that you were providing to the product and tech teams there?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it changed a lot per each of the companies and the teams. and you had to be adaptable if you are a coach, because then you had to figure out what is your pains, and then build together with the teams how to tackle those and overcome these pains. So, for example, in one place it was identifying real solutions for clients, right? Sometimes teams get really excited about a product, they go down a road, but they're not really giving a solution to the needs of the user or the end user. So helping them bring closer. Like, a lot of companies suffer from this, where the teams are so far away from the end users that sometimes they don't get these interactions, right? So I was able sometimes to bring them closer, even sometimes internally, like sometimes developing products or features internally, yeah, for example, for customer support or things like that. So I remember one time, and I'm not going to mention companies, but in this place, the team that I was working with at the moment had to work to develop a tool for customer support. And they had this struggle for a long time where it wasn't really working. And the solution, or part of the solution, was, you know what, in every sprint, so every 2 weeks, one of you is going to go and sit down with customer support for a day, and then just watch them work. That's it. Take notes, watch them work, and take notes on what you notice. And just within like a month, they went from delivering something that they thought it was useful to something that it actually was useful.
Nice.
So bringing them close together,
That's amazing.
it was a great move. So yeah, that's one thing. Other challenges, well, sometimes, especially after you have been some time in a company, you start tackling the teams and they're getting along better and they're working in a great atmosphere. And then the challenges start coming from the top down, right? So like prioritization,
Ooh,
and,
true.
roadmap planning, and things like that. So like that's sometimes challenging because it's a different kind of monster, I will say, and to try to coach up, especially when you haven't been called to coach up. Yeah, so sometimes that's challenging. Yeah, I think one of the other challenges that I saw was that's why I started the academy too, is many teams and people, for example, they just learn as they go, which I think is actually useful too, right? For example, a lot of teams are asked to work in the Scrum framework. Very little, or very few of these people have had a chance to do a proper training with Scrum. And they have misconceptions, or they read a book, or they read a post, or they see this is useless or whatever. And my concept is, I start from the belief everything has a value if you see it from the right point of view and the needs. And so if you understand why is there a daily Scrum Up or daily stand up, then you understand what you need to do to make it work for you. So sometimes the challenge was, how do I bring this and open people up to see the value of things that they have been considering useless or not worth their time. So that was challenging, but you overcome this with doing workshops, bonding together, having nice discussions, and asking what else can we do about this? Can we try this? So over time, you gain trust, and then people are more open to that.
Interesting. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, Paul. I one thing that you said, Gus, was really interesting to me, and I want to get a little bit deeper into that. You mentioned sometimes you also had to coach up, and that was challenging. I also want to understand, how did you manage this, especially when the layer above is not necessarily receptive, or they don't see the issues, they don't think that they require coaching, either because they are already at the top of the company, or they don't see the challenges. How do you deal with that?
That's a great question. I don't believe in silver bullets. Like, I don't think there is
Yeah.
one thing we have that will kill Dracula, but there are different things that you can try and see which one fits your Dracula. And so in my case, for example, one experience again was, asking to try small, try a pilot, try an experiment. Yeah, let's grab a team, let's grab one problem, and let's try it out, because that's the only way to verify, right? Scientific method. And so you propose an hypothesis, you design an experiment, and you run it for some time, and then see if it's something working. So if people that are up and they are smart are against the scientific method, then the problem is something else. And so
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
and that's how I have tried to tackle that. So in some cases, other cases were different, but yeah, that's one thing that I will try first whenever I face that.
And in your previous career, were you more hired to train or to coach teams so that they start working with Scrum or start having dailies or even start to switch on the camera and video meetings and start to talk to each other? Or is it more the product development like you described? Hey, go to your users, sit next to them, take notes, and then just see what it makes to you. So is it more team or more product coaching you do?
Yeah, so I think it's similar, right? So it's depending on, for example, like when they are looking for a role, for someone for the role, they are also trying to interview and see, okay, we have these problems. Where do you fit? Which team can you come and help with? And sometimes it's one particular problem. For example, I remember one time I went to this interview, and then they say, okay, we like everything very well. We would like you to start. There is one thing, and this is your probation time challenge. Let's put it that way. This team is not performing, and they're having a lot of problems. And so we would like you to try your best and see what happens between now and 6 months. And I asked him, what is, well, they're having some issues talking, and communication is a little bit broken. And I said, okay, fine. Challenge accepted. And then I went to the next day, next week, went to the first sprint planning. I think it was sprint planning, or no, it was a backlog refinement. And the PO comes in and he presents the first ticket. And I told them, it's like the first, I never try to be really coming and dictating anything. I'm just always looking and getting to know everyone and see what's going on. And so they immediately, when he started talking about this ticket, one of the persons in the team, he said something like, "Oh, whoever wrote that doesn't know what it's talking about." And I'm using language words of the podcast, so you can fill in there whatever words come to your mind. And so that was how bad it was. And so I knew that, okay, the problem here has nothing to do with the product, or it's like people problems, right? So then I started designing, okay, what strategy it is. It's about trust. It's talking to the people, figuring out what the problem behind is. Maybe there was some conflicts in the past and they're not letting go. And so that was a different strategy. And then in another case, for example, it was that the team was working very hard, but the solutions were not being received by the customer support team and as like, oh, this is helpful. And so they were getting bad feedback. And so that was a different strategy. So it has been adapting quite a bit different, right? So there is, right before Corona, for a couple of years, I worked in oil and gas. When I started back in my career, it was oil and gas too. And then I came back for a job to help develop a product, because this company had no idea how to do that. A software product. They had machineries. And so that was a totally different case, because then they had to discover, okay, what is it that our users, clients need? What does go well with our machines? And they had ideas, but it was a typical everyone doing the same thing, right? So I like to be more innovative, and then interviewing the customers and figuring out what they need and what is it that is a solution. And so it was totally different, because then it was more like, okay, I'm more in products, and I was able to also help pick the team. So we hit the ground running, if you say. And so we were able to develop something really cool.
Nice.
So it has changed quite a bit, right? So sometimes even in the same company, right? One of the biggest challenges was with working with Snapchat and Feed Analytics, because it was the first time that I was directly involved in machine learning and AI projects. And so I found myself in the open water, because it's not the same monster to develop that as to develop normal software, right? Or products. So I had to learn a lot. And so it was a lot of me, okay, you know what? You guys know more. You have done this a little bit longer than me. Let me sit down with you and help you optimize things. And so it was a great challenge as well. So if I go back to your question a little bit, it changed a lot, right? It changed between the team. In that same company, I was working with them and also with another team doing something else. So it was putting hats between the teams and the organizations.
Nice. That's also a very interesting and long list of achievements that we briefly touched on. And I also want to ask you, what's the highlight of all of this? So a little bit looking backwards and looking at your career so far, like, is there one moment that you're super proud of? And also looking now, also with your business as a founder, what is the highlight that keeps you still motivated and going forward in this role?
Oh, that's a great question. There are many times where when the team comes together, especially when a team was not believing in when I came in and they're looking at you as this guy now telling us what to do, and then you kind of gain their trust and their friendship. I mean, like, I have a very extensive network right now, and most of them are people that I work with directly, and I can write to them and grab a beer, and I do that often. So that's something that for me is fulfilling, right? Like, bonding with people and like being able to, at the end of, for example, like a project or a year, come together and then they say, oh, I appreciate very much, all you brought in and help us with that. That's very fulfilling. And with the academy is something that, for example, I see a lot of value in the principles behind agile, and I'm talking about real agile, if I may say, which is we want to be profitable, right? That's one thing for business. If without that, there is no real business, right? So this is important. We want also great working environments. We want people, we're spending 8 hours a day with people that are not our family. So we better make that place a comfortable place to be. And we want our customers to actually have solutions that are great. So for me, this is the the triangle for Agile, and I'm behind that. So making decisions that align with these three things is the key. And so the academy is to actually look at, help people look at that in that way, remaining flexible and taking decisions in the direction. And my vision is to bring these kind of ways of working to other industries and other roles and departments. Like, I had the chance to work with also marketing departments, customer support, partner management, sales. So I had the chance to see, this is how you do things. What about look at this way? Like, this is vertical slicing. Look, see, you can deliver value without blocking each other, things like that. So that's my highlight. Like, I really get passionate about like bringing this to people and say, you can work in a way that is a little bit more comfortable, so, or more valuable to you also. So that's
nice. That's amazing, and I consider it quite profound too, because the way that I can summarize it in my brain based on what you said is you help people find their way to create value. So
Yes.
you don't give them the answer, but you help them find a way to create the value that they need, and
Yes.
that's I think very beautiful.
Yeah, I'm a little bit. I don't know if it's naive or romantic in that way, but I do. I like people to realize things for themselves, because this aha moment, that is the key, right? That's for me personally. When I was studying in the university, I could look at a problem in mathematics and I don't get it, and then when it was the aha, if I had a great teacher or professor, it was like aha, I got it, and that was it. And this is what I'm
Nice.
looking for.
Yeah, I can really relate to that. They're so beautiful to see when something is working, especially across various industries and various teams. And yeah, as you said, we spend so much time together at work. We should really invest into making it enjoyable and more productive, and that will bring value to the company. So yeah, everything comes together. So I am kind of sure what you will answer to my next question, but maybe there's something next to your awesome academy that is online and ready to be checked out, right? So everyone can take a look. Is there anything else you would recommend in books or videos, courses, podcasts that maybe shaped your thinking and your approach?
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of stuff. I was thinking a bit about that. There are some old books that I will always recommend. Like, for example, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think when I first, they not don't judge a book by its cover. I do that all the time. I'm gonna be honest. I always I read that the first time. It's like, oh, this is like manipulation, right? This is what you're training to be. And then when you read it, you realize it's telling you, no, you gotta be sincere about these things. You don't just remember people's name. You do it because you care about the people. And then that is the key to win friends and influence people. And you do it in a ethical way. So that's one takeaway. That's one book. The other book from him is Become a Great Leader, I think it's called. And he's also giving really great points there, how to live with empathy and build trust. So people it's the same with your kids, I think, because if you react to your kid making a mess, guess what? That kid is not going to come to you when they have problems, and especially in the teenage years. So you have to build that trust so that they can approach you, right? You got to be approachable and things like that. The 80-20 principle, finding what is it that where you have to put time, or finding which of your customers are the ones who are paying the bills and things like that. What else? There was another one that is called, I have it here actually. Are Your Lights On? I don't know if you heard that. It's this one.
No.
It's by Donald Goss. And Are Your
Interesting.
Lights On? How to figure out what the problem really is. And this is
Ooh,
a very interesting book to read. You can take away some practical things from there.
Interesting.
I'm still working on these things. I mean, every time you have a new problem, even though you have a technique, you still have to go through and learn and discover that. So, and from YouTube or videos, things like that, I really like the people from AJ and Smart. I don't know if you know them. They're here based in Berlin as well. They are delivering, or they're offering courses and books on how to facilitate and decision-making workshops too. And this is very useful. They also do sprint designs, and they teach how to do the sprint designs. And
Nice.
yeah, I have more, but these are the ones that come on top of my head.
Nice.
cool.
Nice.
So that is, yeah, inspiring, definitely. We will put the links into the show notes. So it is always useful to put some more stuff into your reading list. And if you would imagine, I am a young person and starting my career, and my dream is also to become an agile product and agile coach. Would there be one advice? Which advice would you give me?
Okay. I will say I look a lot into the careers of sports coaches, because you can learn a lot from how they do things.
Interesting.
It's very similar how you tackle your teams and the challenges if you look at them. For example, like people like I forgot now. He was the coach for the Chicago Bulls when they became the Stars with the Dream Team. I forgot now his name. Jackson, I think it is. But anyway, I will look it up. And the way they build the team and the way that, and they all started by doing themselves the work so that they became coaches because they had also this tendency on empathy and people. If you don't have that, it's hard to be a coach because coach has to do a lot with people. And so my advice to people wanting to go into any kind of coaching is, well, first you have to have that empathy and, people fondness. And the second thing is, whatever it is that you're trying to do, first try to do it. Go, and you want to be a product coach? Well, you know what? Take a role, be a developer for some time, be a business analyst for some time. Take that, do it. Suffer what they're suffering. And then you have empathy. And then you understand. And then you can tell them, okay, there are different ways how you want me to help you. And that's a great way to do it, right? So don't just ask questions, because a lot of coaches that I met lately, it's all about asking questions. And I think it's important, but it's also about working with people through the decisions.
Yeah, very valuable advice. Thank you.
Yeah. And also, I think you're the second person in this week that told me that they are looking at sports coaches to get some behavior or like learn about how they build success stories in a group. And I think that's fascinating. I've never thought about it that way. I mean, of course, there's the amazing show Ted Lasso, and I learned a lot from it already. It's a great show. If you have not watched it, definitely 100% recommend. Paul, feel free to use the Apple TV family and watch the show. It's amazing. But I also want to start closing the show with some fun games. And I will give you a list of statements, and you can just tell me, is it a red flag for you or is it a green flag? So kind of like yay or nay. And yeah, it's in the product and tech world. Just give me if this is a yay or nay for you.
Before would you ask me?
Yes.
Can I add one thing? I remember the name. Phil Jackson was the coach for the Chicago Bulls. And that is very inspiring. If you read the book or watch some that was really, really good. Some good learnings there.
Nice.
Okay, sorry.
All right. So, the team decides to skip retrospective to save time for a tight launch deadline.
I heard that more than one time. So do you want a long answer or just straight?
We can just go for a short answer, and if between the three of us there is any disagreement, we can go into the long answers, but let's go for the short answers first.
All right. So I will say the team is responsible, right? So as a coach, for me, I try to show them value. And like I say, it's all about experimentation. So if they can prove that without the retrospective, they have no issues, then if they can make it work, that's amazing. My experience in over 12 years is that it's not. So I will incline myself to say, okay, let's do an experiment. Let's run it for like a quarter and see if you are having problems. But
all right.
I will not skip it.
Okay, so I consider that a beige flag. Paul, how about you?
Yeah, big red flag. We can extend the time until the next retrospective. We can also talk about the format. We could shorten it in time, but there have to be a retrospective. Even though everyone is bored and feels overwhelmed, there's this nice picture of people doing stupid stuff and saying, "Oh, we are too busy to improve." And yeah. What about you, Gonche?
Yeah, I said it's a beige flag for me. It depends. All right, next one is a beautiful, great, amazing product roadmap with a lot of data is created for the next 6 months, but no one has access to edit anything on that product roadmap.
No one.
No, it's not. It has no flexibility for change over the next 6 months. It is
Yeah,
set
that's
in
red.
stone.
That's like double red flag.
Yeah.
We need to talk about expectation management.
Yeah. Yeah. And last but definitely not the least, the design team presents a fully polished and beautiful designs, but does not involve product managers or developers into the ideation process.
I think it's a red flag. I will definitely say so.
Paul, how about you?
Yeah, that is a very, very interesting one. Because I saw already a lot of beautiful designs that were cut down by engineers. And they said, it's not possible. How would you do that? So what I would like to do is make them a super nice interface, make it as beautiful as possible. Don't think about how to realize it, and then go into refinement meetings and also explain the designers, this will never happen like you see it right now, right? This is somehow the vision. And now we do our best to go in that direction. And then exactly as you said, Gus, with experiments, with steps, is it good enough if we do the 20% version already? And then we always can pull out this beautiful, polished vision. And we say, okay, nice. This is the North Star where we want to arrive.
Yeah.
But
I also consider it. I consider it actually a green flag because I think it is extremely important in a company that designers have the creative freedom of the creativity to be able to let the ideation flow, let the juices flow, and then with the design that they create, exactly as you said, Paul, motivate the rest of us. That is a possibility for us as well. Maybe we can check some of these ideas and like just go wild. And then yes, for sure, in the statement, it purposefully didn't say that it is gonna be for a very tight deadline or for a product that is aimed to launch, but to allow the creativity flow, I think it's quite important that the design team sometimes just takes their own time without involving anyone else, just to do their thought process. All right, that was the yay or nay or green flag, red flag game. We need to find a better name for it in the next episode. It is for now still in experiment mode. Let's see how it goes. But thank you so much, Gus, for playing the game and also for sharing all of your knowledge and expertise with us today. Where can people find you? If someone has a question to you, if someone wants to join the academy, how can people reach out to you?
I would say, the easiest way, LinkedIn. You can search Meta Agile. That's the name of the academy. And then we have a page in LinkedIn. You can also go to metaagile.coach. So let me say it again, Meta Agile. So in one word, .coach. And yeah, and I will say LinkedIn, or they can also search my name, Gustavo Avila, and that's I would say the more straightforward way to reach out.
Perfect.
Or find all the links in the show notes of that episode. That will be also accessible. Thank you, Gus. It was very great talking to you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. And we wish you a lot of motivated and nice students for your academy. Definitely worth it to take a look into.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and it was a great conversation.
Nice, thank you. And please feel free to recommend this podcast to anyone you know. Recommend it to whomever wants to become a product manager, is already a product manager, has something to do with product. Basically, anyone you've ever met in your life. Share it around. Give us a 5-star rating. It would really help us.
We should talk about our target group description again, Goncha, next time.
Everyone.
Yeah. Have a nice one. Bye.
Bye.